As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award compensatory damages in the amount of $10 million. As against Amber Heard, we, the jury, award punitive damages in the amount of $5 million.
It was Johnny Depp's day in a Fairfax, Virginia courtroom, and very much not Amber Heard's. Jurors wholeheartedly accepted Depp's claim that Heard, his ex-wife, defamed him in a newspaper column that suggested, while never stating outright, that he abused her during their marriage. Heard, as you may know, sued Depp for defamation as well, and today won a partial victory along with $2 million. Still, she says she is disappointed, quote, beyond words for herself and for women who dare to speak up and speak out. Depp was not in the courtroom today, but in England, where he decided to tour with guitarist Jeff Beck. He says the jury gave me my life back, which may be true, but those punitive damages come with an asterisk. This is interesting. I don't think a lot of people realize this. Under Virginia law, they are capped at $350,000. Okay, so time to bring in my experts. Josh Schiffer, he is a criminal injury and civil rights trial lawyer, and Caitlyn Becker, the senior reporter for DailyMail.com. Before I get to both of you, I want to quickly play what Depp's attorneys said outside the courtroom shortly after that verdict came down. Take a listen.
We are also most pleased that the trial has resonated for so many people in the public who value truth and justice. Now that the jury has reached its conclusive verdict, it's time to turn the page and look to the future.
Okay, Caitlyn, let's start with you. I mean, you've been following this all along. This whole thing has taken on a life of its own. I mean, it's insane online, and people have become totally obsessed. Most people, obviously, were in Depp's corner. What do you think this means for him moving forward? Like, does his career just skyrocket now? Not that he wasn't already, you know, on fire before this.
You know, it's been a bit of a debate what's going to happen to Johnny Depp after this. And with some of the people that I was talking to earlier today, there was a divide on whether or not this is going to hurt him or help him. Personally, I think that this is going to help him. I think that this case and this televised trial gave Johnny Depp fans something to rally behind. It really lit a fire between them. And I think his team would be foolish not to try to capitalize off of that. I mean, they're not going to go back into time. The next Pirates movie starring Johnny Depp is not getting greenlit tomorrow. He's not going to be recast as Grindelwald in the Harry Potter franchise. However, he can take this and spin this while people are still in his corner, and that's going to get them to the box office.
One thing, Josh, that I found very, very interesting is there was the verdict today in Virginia. It was basically the opposite verdict from what we saw in the United Kingdom. Of course, in the UK, it was a judge who decided. In Virginia, it was a jury. I mean, what did you make of that? Literally the opposite verdict.
Well, there's been a lot of outcry in the legal community about this case because clearly we've touched a cultural rail. Today's decision and the verdict, it's a watershed moment, and lawyers are really concerned about how this is going to play out in public and in courts. The entire domestic violence victim universe is kind of freaking out because we just watched a jury thoroughly reject well-documented claims of domestic violence, claims that weren't actually prosecuted, but they were very valid claims, and a lot of commentaries about how if this had been a criminal case, it would have been a very different result. And in fact, the civil lawyers are following along that same line of thought. There are even calls among some civil lawyers that there should be a motion for a judgment withstanding the verdict, because basically, the jury may have gotten it wrong. At least that's the perspective of a lot of legal commentators who are not taking into account the intense cultural approval that Johnny Depp got. Just like Caitlyn said, this is a huge opportunity for Mr. Depp to rehabilitate his image, and he walks away the winner. We'll see if Amber Heard can craft something to continue getting the forum and the place to speak her truth that she so desperately wants.
Caitlyn, every single day, and I know you were at the trial, I mean, there were just throngs of Johnny Depp supporters outside shouting. They had signs. Do you think that may have impacted things? Could that have impacted the jury?
You know, I wasn't actually in the courtroom and I wasn't physically at the trial, so I'm not sure how much interaction the jurors got with those people outside of the courthouse, but I think it's really impossible to have ignored them, the shouts, the screams, even within the gallery itself. People waited in line for hours and hours and hours every single morning to get one of those coveted wristbands to sit inside of the courtroom, and they were wholly in Johnny Depp's corner with maybe a few scattered Amber Heard supporters, and that was evident in the room. That was evident in the courthouse. That was evident when Johnny Depp was on the stand and kind of endeared himself to the crowd. The judge several times during his 4 days of testimony had to admonish the gallery to keep quiet and not laugh along and not support him. And I would be remiss to think that if, you know, I was in that jury box, it wouldn't affect me. I wouldn't want it to. I would want to think I was impartial, but it's impossible to believe that that kind of influence doesn't get in somehow.
Yeah, you have to imagine they saw some of it. Josh, you made a good point a second ago just about the way that this is going to impact the domestic violence community, other people who make claims. But I got to tell you, on Twitter, there are a lot of people also saying, you know, look, this shows that you cannot always believe every single accuser, that all of the evidence has to be laid out. So, you know, that is going to be interesting, I think, Josh.
Oh, absolutely. I'm a criminal defense attorney by trade. It's where I started my career. And everybody's saying, hey, we've now got a great analogous voice for the false allegations claim. And really, when you practice domestic violence, the vast majority of those cases are he said, she said, without a lot of witnesses. And this was a great cultural illustration of that. It's a cultural illustration of power dynamics and how different interpersonal relationships work on a domestic violence level. This case is bigger than people really realize, because in the court system, since everyone knows about it, it becomes currency. It becomes currency for our arguments and our advocacy, regardless of whether you're a prosecutor or a defense attorney. You're going to be hearing about this for literally decades.
Yeah, just fascinating to think about, and so interesting also the way that this captivated America. I don't think a lot of people saw that early on, that this was literally going to just captivate the country and really the world. People followed along so closely. Josh Schiffer and Caitlyn Becker, thanks so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.